Hi, this is Dr. Toby, your host on health and wellness. Thank you for joining us. We have a great show lined up for you. Our guest is Miss Shannon Kelly. Miss Shannon Kelly is the medical office manager for a rheumatology practice in Flowood, Mississippi. She's been with them for 21 years and in other areas of medical field. She's going to talk to us about being a minister, a minister of the gospel, a wife, a mother, and how she combines it with being a medical office manager. She went to school at the University of Phoenix for her bachelor's in healthcare administration, and then she went on to get her associate's degree from Hines Community College. She's going to be sharing her heart on ministry and why she's doing what she does, and she's been doing the same thing for 21, 22 years. You don't want to miss her story, and I believe it will be an encouragement to those of you who want to pursue similar goals. She's going to talk about her marriage of 10 years, her daughter, and how she combines her field with what she does in the ministry. It's a great show. You don't want to miss it. I believe it will take you to your next level. God bless you in Jesus' name. Take care of themselves, right? Hi, this is Dr. Toby, your host on health and wellness. Thank you. Don't touch that dial. We've been talking with Miss Shannon Kelly. She's the medical office manager of a rheumatology practice in Flowood, Mississippi, and she's been doing that for almost 21, 22 years, and she's been sharing her experience as a medical staff in the medical setting and why she loves it so much. And I believe many of you have been blessed with her story and how she got to where she is. And today we're going to focus a bit on her family. Tell us a bit about where you were. You were born in, obviously, Mississippi. What home were you born into? Was it a Christian home? Was it a, I don't want to use the word pagan, but was it a Christian home where you were raised on prayer and the Bible? Were you born with, I mean, a father and a mother? How was your growing up like?
I grew up in Pearl, Mississippi. Um, my grandfather was actually a preacher.
Awesome.
So we were always going, I've been going to church like ever since I can
Your
remember.
paternal. That's your
Yes, my,
paternal.
my paternal grandfather, my dad's dad was a preacher. And so we have been going to church like for as long as I can remember.
He was more Baptist or
Yes, he was more of a Baptist,
okay.
Baptist preacher, and they had a church on their land. So we used to go there. We used to go to church there. I was younger at the time. I was probably about 2 or 3, but we were going to church there under my grandfather, and my mom migrated to a church in Jackson when I was about 5. So that church was like really the only church that I really knew because we were there until I was like a senior in
Oh.
high school. So
So
I
was
was
that St. Paul's?
no, that was a True Gospel. It was a church in Jackson in the
Okay.
sub. So that's where we had went for so long.
Oh, really? I didn't know
Yes,
that.
yes.
Okay.
And then after that, we went to
So you joined
St.
St.
Hill.
Paul's as a senior of St.
Well,
Hill.
I joined St. Paul later,
Okay.
as later about when David and I started
Okay.
dating. That's
Oh.
when I was more of St. Paul, but we met at St. Hill
Okay.
again.
Because you said True Gospel was a sister church to St. Hill?
No, no,
No,
no,
not
no. It
really.
was just in the Kojic
It's a
circle
Kojic.
of
Okay.
churches.
Okay.
So I had known about St. Hill at that time. When we left True Gospel, we went to St. Hill. My
True Gospel
mom.
is not a Kojic church,
It
right?
was. It
It's
was
a
a Kojic
Kojic church.
church.
Oh,
Yes,
really?
it was
Okay.
a Kojic church. That leader has passed on,
Okay.
but it was a Kojic church. Well, it is a Kojic church. It's still a Kojic church. Um, but we migrated to St. Hill as I
In
started college
Brandon.
in Brandon.
Okay.
Yes. So as I started college, we migrated to St. Hill um, and moved forward. That's where David and I
Okay.
met and
Nice.
became
Okay.
friends, and
So did your
you know,
dad
just
take
built.
over his father's? pastorate?
No, he did not.
Oh, okay.
He kept his church for a little while after that. I think like about 10 years after that, he kept his church. And then his health kind of started failing and um,
Your
everything like
granddad's
that. My
health.
granddad, yeah.
Okay.
So he decided to just, close down the
But in
church.
terms of your nuclear family, were you raised in a Bible believing home
Oh,
where
yes.
prayer and
Yes.
Bibles were read
Yes,
every
yes. I
day?
mean,
And
I could remember when I was young, before we went to bed, we would get by my mom's bed. Like all of us would have to get by my mom's bed, and we would say the Lord's Prayer
okay.
every night, and then we would have to say, something that we were grateful for before the end of the night. So
That's nice.
we were raised, to believe in God, to
Hmm.
love God, and as a matter of fact, when I was before I started school, I went to a Catholic preschool. so
In Pearl? Oh,
it
wow.
was called St. Jude.
Oh, wow.
I went there and I had to go for 2 years because at that time you had to be 6 years old to start school.
Mm.
So I had to go twice because my birthday was late.
Okay. Wow. Now, tell my audience you've been married for 10, maybe
hmm
11 years. I don't know
hmm
when your anniversary
It's in
is.
April.
Happy anniversary. So, what have you learned in the last 11 years of marriage? Because a lot of my viewers have not hit that milestone and they want to learn from you how you sustained your marriage to Elder David Kelly for 11 years. Nothing is honky dory, nothing is going to be smooth sailing, but the fact that you're still together tells us God is at work. So,
Yes.
what lessons can we all learn from you over the last 11 years?
um, I
You and
just
David, obviously.
I just say, communication is key in with your partner, who you're married to. Communicate with them and respect them. Just as if you're on your job, if you want respect from, someone that you work with, you're gonna have to gain them respect as well.
Mm,
So it works in your marriage as well, respecting your marriage and building each other up. There's nothing worse than tearing someone down. I was listening to a radio station, and I forgot the percentage that he said, but he said your marriage rate is more successful. It said you're 80% more likely to stay together and to live healthier with someone that's building you up. And it was like 40 something percent
mm,
likely to be unhealthy. You're going to be more unhealthy because you don't have anybody taking care of you, and
right.
that's concern for you. So
Mm,
communicating and building each other up, and also don't be afraid to seek professional counseling. That's
mhm,
so important. Your mental health is so important during any time in your life. There are going to be times that are trying, and it's important to have someone that you can communicate that with. If you're not feeling well or whatever is going on with you, don't buy into the stigmatism that everybody's fine.
mm,
What everybody portrays on the outside is not really probably what's going
right.
um, on the inside. So just communicate with each other and build each other up. And as I
Mm.
said, don't be afraid to seek professional counseling. Mental health is real and it is out there. I know the
So, how do you guys share responsibilities like the school run for your daughter? I'm sure she goes for dance classes or stuff like that. How do you guys share? I mean, with your busy work schedule.
we both try to we both try to work at it.
Hmm.
If I can't do something with me, I drop her off at school. He picks her up from school most of the time, and if she's involved in gymnastics or whatever, we just try to make sure that each one can do something.
Do something. Okay.
Either he might have to drop her off, or I may have to pick
Pick
her
her
up,
up.
or
Okay.
something like that. So
So
we
the
tend to try to work
sacrifice.
together,
Right. Right.
working together. That's another marriage point, and working together.
Mm, okay. Now you attend the same church. You minister together on the same choir. Anything you will advise couples in terms of over the last 11 years? So let me use this word. If you were to do your 11 years ago, are there things you will do differently? Are there things you would say, "Mm, maybe I'll have done this instead of that? You know, there are some couples who choose not to be involved in their husbands' ministries. You know, they choose to stay on the sidelines. So I don't know. Have you, from your 11 years experience, do you think there are things you've done that you think you would have done differently if you look back in the last 11 years?
I don't know that there's anything that I would have done differently. I just went into it as everybody does. You know, you have a perception of how everything's going to be, but then life happens. So, and as I said, I was in school at that time when we had gotten married. So I was focused on us, but I was also focused on school too. So there were just some things going on, but I don't think that there was anything that I would do differently. You know, he had finished school, and so you know, looking and finding his place with a career and everything. So we were. I can't say that there would be anything that I would do differently.
Did your mom's career as a medical health worker influence you in going into medical office management?
No, because I was working at that time
Okay.
when she was doing her career. So I was working at that time as uh, I wasn't an office manager, but I was working in a health records department at that time. So I kind of started from the bottom and kind of
Okay.
just worked my way up.
And did your dad, was he in the medical field? You didn't tell us what he
No, no,
did.
no, no. My dad, he worked for a tire company. He was the one that would fix these 18-wheelers whenever they had a flat or something going on with their
Oh.
vehicle. He was always on call to go out there and fix them. So he was always um, working in that area.
So when did you come to know Jesus as your Lord and Savior? When all this, you were as a teenager, as a toddler, as a young adult?
I always been in church. Gosh, I mean, I could say all my life, you know, I've been in church, but you know, just really getting to know him and really being serious about him is like later in life where I was really serious because it was just one of those things as you know, some people know, you know, you grow up in church, you know, you kind of rebel
Okay.
against things. You know, you're like, oh, why do I have to do this all the time? You know, and at that point, we were going to church because when I was younger, we were going to church basically every day.
7 days a
We
week.
were going basically every day. One night off, and that was still choir rehearsal. So you just kind of, in growing up in that life, you know, you just kind of, you know, I don't want to say rebel, but you just kind of be like, you know, is all this really necessary? But you don't understand the true sacrifices and the true meanings. Um, but as I got older, you know, I realized, you know, I wanted to serve God. I just had an enlightenment. The other day, I was thinking about something in my life. I had an accident when I got my first car. I had an accident in it 2 days after I had gotten it, and the airbag came out and exploded, and it kind of burned my fingers and everything. And so I drove that car for a long time without an airbag, and never had another accident. So that like showed me how much favor that God had over me and how He was watching over me, even though I knew the Word growing up. Um, you know, read the Bible and everything. I really didn't know Him um, until then. I mean, I just saw His favor and faith all over my
Well,
life.
it's a personal relationship. That's what I want to tell the audience. You know, so faith is a personal relationship. Even if you grew up in church, you have to come to a personal relationship with Jesus. Just like you have to know your partner personally. You know. So let me ask a question. You have two brothers or two sisters?
I have a sister and a brother.
A sister and a brother.
Uh-huh.
Okay. How's your relationship growing up between all three of you, and where are they now?
Yeah, we had a good relationship. Me and my brother and I are closer in age. We're like 23 months apart, so we're closer together. My sister is a little older than I am, and she kind of didn't hang around us as much. But my brother and I were really close. They live, all live around each other.
Okay.
We're really close, and we all go to church together. Our sister church, St. Hill, they're mainly members of that church,
Okay.
and we all serve together in the music ministry within that church. It's a blessing that they're there. They're there
You
to
never
support
told us why you got the scholarship to Delta State for the choir. Were you a
Yes.
singer? Was that your gift?
Yes, I was. I was in show choir in high school.
Public school, like
Mhm,
Jackson
public school. Yes.
like Pearl High School.
This was Northwest Rankin. Yes.
Okay.
Rankin County Schools.
So what does it mean to be a show singer?
Basically, you're singing songs from like movies, and you have to go to competitions.
So you could sing like.
Yes.
Let me think of one now. What's the famous like songs? We are the song. Like the song of music, sounds of music.
Sounds of Music.
Is that a
Yes,
classic
yes,
one?
yes. We
Okay.
would be singing songs like that. Any Disney
We'll
movie
sing
that came out.
alive on the
Sound of Music. Yes.
So you used to sing that.
Yes,
Oh
we
my goodness.
used to sing all kinds of songs. Every time a Disney movie came out, we were basically singing that song and performing that song. So show choir is more of it's kind of like regular choir, but you do more of performing in
Dancing.
show choir and dancing and things.
Really?
Yes, yes. So
like,
it's fun.
So in Delta State, you were part of like the band, maybe.
Well, I was part of the show choir, and every year at Delta State, they used to have a choir competition.
Oh,
And it was really kind of good marketing for them because it was a way for them to get more students to
Right.
see the campus, number one. And number two, they had scouts there that were scoping out the singers that were there performing. And so some of the competitions would be like it would be like SSA, which is first soprano, second soprano, and alto. So you would have to sing a song that they would give you,
Okay.
and you would have to perform it. And so I actually went. I got a scholarship on a voice scholarship. I went and did a recital there, and that's how I ended up getting a scholarship. Like I said, they would have gave me more had I majored in music, but I just didn't want to go that route.
Okay. You couldn't play instruments.
I was playing piano
Okay.
at that time.
Because I know David plays the piano.
Yes,
Okay.
David does. He plays piano, organ. He plays a lot of instruments, and he's very great at them.
Okay.
But yes, I was playing piano at that time,
Oh,
so
okay.
I did a little.
So when you hear all those songs on TV, it brings back memories. All those Disney songs.
Oh yes, it does. It does, especially like The Little Mermaid. I mean, that one brings back like a whole bunch of just memories.
Lord have mercy. I'm sure some Christians in your church will be like, "How can she be singing that as a believer?" I mean, you know what I mean. In the
Yes.
coaching circles,
Oh
they'll be
yes,
like,
yes,
"You shouldn't do that."
right.
But give us a little synopsis. When you guys met, was it love at first sight, or did you develop your relationship, you and David, over time?
We developed our relationship over time. Like I said, I knew him when I was 14.
Okay.
So I always knew him, and we were always friends. I was friends with his sister and brother, and we just kind of grew up together. So we
He
were
went
always.
to another school.
Yes, he went to another school.
Right, the Jackson Public School
Yes,
system.
yes, yes. So we just kind of grew up together, and we, just found each other later at St. Hill.
Have you ever, and this is I'm sure you're going to be embarrassed, but have you ever thought of leaving Mississippi, you and David? Has that thought ever crossed your mind?
No, we, and that's not to say that we don't get asked to leave, but we are very happy in Mississippi. We love what God is doing for us. We love the leadership that we work under. We love being here.
Right. So it never cropped up. And David went to school in Jackson State and now works in a bank. Okay.
Yes.
So what advice do you have for newlywed couples in terms of motherhood, marriage, sustaining their relationships with their loved one? Any personal advice you can give them?
Just as I said before, communicating and prayer. prayer always helps. Communication, prayer, building each other up, and like I said, don't be afraid to seek professional counseling. Mental health is so important. Our mental health is so important, and if someone is tearing that down, you're not going to be very productive. Um, a lot of there's a lot of stigmatism around the African American community, specifically about mental health.
Right.
And sometimes you just need that person to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
It's more than a mother, more than a father, more than your sister, more than a friend to talk to. Sometimes you need someone that totally doesn't know you, and professionally, that can help you get to a better mental status.
Have you ever had challenges? So this is what I'm saying is this: as a medical office manager, your schedule is pretty tight. Do you think you've had to face health challenges as a result of your work schedule combined with your role as a mother and a wife? Because I've seen medical office managers who literally burn out, just taking their jobs home and becoming obsessed, and then it affects their marriage, it affects their relationship with their
Hmm.
loved one. So have you had any challenges combining work, home, relationship with David? And has that been an issue in terms of your personal health? Have you noticed some people go home and they binge eat, they don't take care of themselves, they don't exercise, they don't go for their annual checkups because they're so busy working. A
Yes.
lot of doctors are their own personal worst enemies, truly. So I don't know if it affects the medical office manager as
Yes,
well as
yes.
the physician.
It's just like any job that you work. Sometimes you take things home. I know sometimes I always focused on. I'm always trying to be proactive.
Hmm.
So a lot of times I'm thinking about stuff like for the next day. And so, like, I'll go to bed thinking about, okay, I got to get this done. I got to get that done in the morning. I need to do this. I need to get there at this time so I can do this. And that's the kind of thing. I haven't like had any physical challenges, with my health or anything. But a lot of times I can tell like I didn't rest well at night because I was thinking about what I needed to do the next morning. So a lot of times that comes home with you. And I can remember one time I worked for a physician, and he was never really happy. Um, he like fussed a lot, but I just came to work under him, and everything was a yes sir, yes sir, yes sir. And a few years later after that, I came across him again, and he was like smiling and he was happy,
Um,
and he was like, "Hey, how are you?" And I was like, "Great." I was like, "Is this the same person?" And I was like, "Great." I was like, "How are you?" And he was like, and this is something that stuck with me like all for the
mm.
rest of my life. He said, it helps when you marry the right person.
Oh, that's what he said.
So all of that came from not being not being with the right
Oh
person.
my goodness.
So I learned, I was like, okay,
He,
yeah, you're
he
married.
just threw her under the bus.
Yes, I was like, well, it helps when you're married to the right person. You're married to somebody that you can communicate with and that understands you.
So my question is, as a medical office manager, can you guarantee my viewers that they'll get 2 weeks holidays in a year? I mean, because that's kind of the short changing of the medical office staff. A lot of you work, I don't know if it's per rota or something. You see, if I get a job with the university, it's part of my package
Hmm.
that there's two to
The
three
two
weeks
to three
holiday.
weeks. Yes,
Now, as
yes,
a medical office manager, is that part of your package?
yes, yes. I mean, that's definitely part of your package. Um, it just depends on you, basically.
And a lot of you work public holidays. If you work for a doctor, he wants to
Right.
work on July 4th. He wants to work on President's Day. He wants to work on Martin Luther King Day. He wants to work. I mean, your husband works in a bank. I'm sure he's at home on
Yeah.
President's Day, Martin
He is.
Luther,
He's
and
home
you
on
are at
President's
work.
Day. I'm at work. I'm at
So
work.
my viewers are
So
like, why
yes,
do we
I
have
don't
to?
get the major holidays, yes, you do get, but
You
those
get
little state
New
holidays,
Year's, Christmas.
Christmas, Thanksgiving, Memorial Day, and
Okay.
you're able to, of course, definitely take vacations. I encourage to take vacations because there's nothing like a good, refreshing getaway to come back into, come back to work. Sometimes you just need to leave for a second and then come back to something. It's like working on something, working on a puzzle. Sometimes you're just too busy looking at what's there that you can't really focus.
Right.
So when you leave it overnight or something and then come back the next day, you find that missing piece and you put it all together. So,
But the reason why a lot of you don't take vacation is because there's nobody to hand over to.
yes.
So, but like in your practice, you have two assistants or something.
Yes.
So if
Yes.
you leave today, the practice can.
Yes, yes. There's always someone there that can handle everything, and if
That can
even
handle
if not,
billing.
that can handle, yes, they
That can
handle the
handle
billing, that can handle,
infusion equipment
yes,
orders.
yes, making sure, they're not going to do it to your level, but they'll at least get it to where what, hey, when she gets back, she can
Finish it.
take over this part, but we're just getting it in here, getting it out of the way, sorting it out so that it can be done. So as long as you have someone, and that's where you're training, because as a manager, you have to make sure that everybody's trained to do something, because if something happens, if something is going on in the back, then the first person that they're going to come to is you.
There should be no vacuum if possible.
Right.
Right.
Right. So you want to make sure that that person, is trained. If somebody's not doing something, or if they're complaining about something in the back, then you've got to address it with, whoever, to make sure that it's correct.
Yeah, I've always learned from my experience. God told me years ago, He says, who you join determines what you enjoy.
Exactly.
Who you join. So I think who you join as a physician, if you join the right group of
Yes.
physicians,
Yes.
you will have fun as a medical office
That's right.
manager. But unfortunately, there are places you go to and it's a nightmare.
It's
You know,
It's
a
tough.
lady gets hit on, or some guy just throws stuff at you and calls you names,
Yes.
and so
Yes.
obviously who you join makes a big difference.
That's right.
When we come back, we're going to talk about how you guys handle payroll, because I think a lot of my viewers are not even aware, but that's part of your responsibility too, right? Like organizing payroll, and then organizing how the checks get to the physician, making sure that line of traffic of payment is seamless, because it's a big part of what we do as physicians. And we've had stories of doctors' checks getting missing and someone else cashing them in. So I just wanted us to talk a little bit about the payment models that are available in medical office physician practices. We've had a great time. We're going to come back next week for our final session with Miss Shannon Kelly. She's been sharing her experience as a medical office manager for 21 years, giving us her heart on marriage, her relationship, her husband, her children, her daughter, and her calling as a music minister. We'll share a little bit more about that when we come back. Don't forget, Jesus is Lord. God bless you.